Okay, I think we'll get started.
Okay.
70 people responded to be here, so maybe they'll show up later, but I don't want to wait any longer. I don't
Sure.
want to reward lateness.
Sure.
So thank you for coming. We used to do a lot more of these. I've been told before, I've been here 2.5 years, before COVID. And I want to do more of these because I think it's great for entrepreneurs and founders to share with other entrepreneurs and founders kind of their successes, the pivots, what they had to overcome, what they found useful, that sort of thing. So this is a great company that joined us, what, about a year ago, maybe?
November 2022.
November 2022. And this is Janessa and this is Ryan, and they are the company. And I will I'll tell you, this is what they have. They have a Parmesan cheese alternative that is dairy-free and plant-based. And it tastes really good. You're gonna get a chance to try some of it. But the format we're gonna use is I'm gonna ask them questions and they're gonna answer. Then we'll have a time for question and answers at the end. We can go as long as we want, but then after that, we have pizzas and beer and wine and soft drinks in our what do you call it? Kitchenette area.
Yeah.
So then we'll proceed there and just eat and drink. So I'm gonna just jump right in. How did you first decide to create Panacheeza plant-based Parmesan cheese alternative?
So the reason this product was created, the journey started 14 years ago. I didn't know I was embarking on an entrepreneurial venture. I grew up in, I'm going to stand here because I feel like I grew up in a Italian Maltese household. I grew up alongside my grandmother in her kitchen, Mediterranean food, very clean. She was very health conscious. And 14 years ago, I made the choice to go completely plant-based, be completely vegan. It wasn't popular then like it is now. So I was forced to go back into my kitchen and just figure out how to make my cultural foods and my comfort foods that I was used to eating, like lasagnas, chicken parmesan, anything with dairy, really. I didn't really try to imitate the meat so much. It was the dairy that was the hardest to pull away from. So the years went on. I never got a Parmesan on my food. I guess that would have been almost nine or 10 years. I was buying alternatives to Parmesan. It ended up being a waste of my money. I would throw it out. It was just really frustrating. And then one day I saw a commercial for spaghetti with red sauce, and then they sprinkled some Parmesan across it. And I said, that's it, it's enough. Jumped off my couch. I went into my kitchen and I threw together whatever I could that would create the best idea of Parmesan cheese. It certainly didn't look like this the first run. It took me about 5 years to create, to make it fluffy, white, creamy. Over those years, I never thought I'd create my own business. I had a job. I'm actually from Canada, from Toronto. Had a job. Everything was going well with that. I started bringing my product to work to put on my lunches, and I always had inquiries as to my health and my fitness and my diet and what's this and what's that. Everyone was always really curious about everything that I pretty much ate. And so when you sprinkle this out right now, this is actually something we'll talk about later. This is our spicy one. But if you put this beside actual dairy Parmesan, it looks pretty much the same. So everyone's really like, what is that? I'm confused. Aren't you dairy free? And I said, no, I didn't have a name for it then. I just called it my Parmesan. So I started giving it out to friends and family. And eventually I was inundated with informal orders like, oh, can I have more? Can you make me more? So at the end of work every day, I'd go home and, so it's cashew based. Cashews are expensive. So I started, having to buy more ingredients for myself, and I loved giving it away. That's how I was raised culturally. You make food, you have everyone at your table, you give out as much as you can. So, fast forward a little bit, Brian and I started dating long distance. I was in Toronto, he's in Rochester. We started dating right when COVID started. So they actually closed the borders on us. We had just started dating, and I started visiting Rochester for 2 weeks at a time because of all the restrictions and all that. So I put my Parmesan on everything I ate. It was a staple in my kitchen. So I made it in Rochester in his kitchen and, you know, I put it in the fridge as I always do. And I really don't think anything of it. I don't tell people about it. I don't really push it. It's just my thing. And, you know, that's it. He was sitting on the couch, you know, he was off in the, I couldn't even really see what he was doing. I just saw him kind of like fall over and freak out. I said, what's up? He said, what is this? This is amazing. Oh my God. And I said, well, that's just my permission. Whatever. No, I know. And so then he said, like, Ryan hasn't introduced himself yet, but,
This is all my fault.
So he's a serial entrepreneur and he, you know, saw all of, you know, saw our pathway forward right away. And I ended up moving to Rochester, to, you know, close the gap between us because COVID was still, you know, lasted years, like we couldn't maintain a relationship that way. I ended up moving here and I had an unfinished degree from Seneca and York University in Toronto that I was able to transfer my credits over to RIT, and RIT gave me 2 years advanced standing, and I was able to enroll into the School of Individualized Study and get a minor in entrepreneurship. So, you know, it was an idea that Ryan and I would make a business out of this one day. We just didn't know when. And, you know, he's trying to figure everything out because COVID turned everything upside down. I was brand new here. Like I was a student. I obviously couldn't work. But through my time at RIT, I put the product into the coursework as much as I could, not really having like a set goal, like I'm going to make this a business, you know, by, you know, March 15th, 2022 or anything like that. I was able to do market analysis in my principles of marketing courses. I was able to do mock campaigns and critical thinking courses I was in. There's entrepreneur classes that I, you know, just made business models out of, and I was just able to infuse the product into my coursework as much as I could. And then I had 1 semester left at RIT before I graduated. And for my capstone, I did a business model for, this actually used to be called Panacheeza. So we came up with the name Panacheeza because I wanted something European. I wanted something a little fancy. It started with a P, so it would kind of mimic a parmesan. So Ryan found the Greek goddess of universal health is called Panacheeza. So I thought that's perfect. We're going to go with Panacheeza. It's great. So there was 2 reasons it didn't turn into Panacheeza. One is there's a lot of Panacheezas out there. There's the Panacheeza domain name is $100,000. So that right away, we're like, maybe we won't, you know, go for that. And also our 4-year-old at the time couldn't say Panacheeza, and he kept asking at home for the Panacheeza. And so we actually thought that was better. I just kind of morphed with it organically.
And it makes a great origin story.
And I loved it.
Yeah, he's in for his 1%. He's already.
Yeah.
Already.
He pats himself on the back all the time for that. He asks actually where his business cards are. I'm not even joking. So I put the product into my capstone, and at the end, I just wanted to receive an A for the course. At the end of that, I was offered the Gap Year Scholarship Award, which I hadn't heard of yet, but it was a year. I would take a year off my studies, start working on my business. You get a grant that comes with it. You don't have to launch your business. They just say, take a year off, start working on your idea, and you don't lose your academic standing. So that year was very, you know, pivotal for us because we didn't know if we were going to launch it, but we had started incorporating a few months before that. We ended up getting referred to VCI by Dean Hall. October, it was fall 2022. We did our pitch here. We were accepted into the Incubator as an affiliate member. So I had just started my gap year a couple months before that, maybe 2 months prior. So it was interesting to have all this free time just to work on my business, and we were able to put our hands right into it and just start. Like within a month of us being here, we realized that we needed office space, and then we became a resident member. And then if you fast forward a couple of months, we ended up launching May 2023. So we've been in market for 7 months, and it was an amazing time for us to it was kind of a decision to enter the market, but it was also this organic push. Everything just really came together at the same time. Like the plant-based industry right now, it's almost tough to break into now because there's so many competitors. However, Grated parmesan right now has not been mastered. There's only two competitors in the space. So, I could answer a lot of, questions that are oncoming, so I'm gonna like kind of pause there. Cause I could just give it all away.
I knew this part was gonna be long because you love to tell the story. We got lots of other questions, so I'm gonna jump into a completely unrelated question. How have you funded the business? Obviously, inventory costs money. It costs money to get cashews shipped here from, I know, Indonesia, right? Or, Vietnam,
Yeah.
Vietnam, yeah. So tell us, what are the different ways you made sure that you had the cash flow that you needed to move this forward?
Yeah, so initially, it was bootstrapped by family. Luckily, we had the resources at RIT to get scholarships and grants. And then when we were accepted into VCI, we received some awards. So, we used up funds, and the next step on that is to go to investors. So we're working on that right now.
And what were the toughest obstacles you had to overcome in the way of market? What were some of the things that made you stay up at night or,
Sure. Yeah, I mean, probably just all the boxes that you need to check first before you put a product on the market. When one box is checked, you think you're ready, there's 5 more. So, to be honest with you, Rochester is a very abrasive community when it comes to food innovation, and just everybody wants to help everybody else, especially in the food category. So we were very fortunate to meet some very influential people very early on. One in particular, Tom Seymour, he's over at Bison Bag. Probably everybody knows Tom. If you don't know Tom, we'll know you at some point. But here we are with this product, Tom. He goes, okay, you need to call this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. This person for manufacturing, this person for packaging, this person for marketing and design. And that's really how it started. So everything just came together organically in that regard. We didn't have a ton of pain points, knock on wood, in the kind of that whole developmental phase. It was just kind of putting things, check each box, make sure we had. We were lucky enough to find a good supply of cashews. I would say that was probably a pain point. Is how are we going to create a product that does not price the consumer when cashews domestically are $4 a pound? That's the base of our product. So, one thing that we're obviously very conscious of, which sets us apart in the industry, is the clean label side, minimal ingredients, whole food nutrition, no fillers, no additives, no preservatives, and so forth. So, having the cashews stand alone and be the foundation of the product is very important. So, Alibaba, hop on there, you throw out a search, I was fortunate enough to find Henry in Vietnam. He's full service. So I just throw him on the ocean. Yeah, it's great. They're $1.70 a pound. Yeah, so I'm good. We're good there. Other than that, go ahead.
If we didn't have the ecosystem that we have. Right.
Sure.
And then we would kind of have it together. The answer to that would be awesome for us. It's really important to have that ecosystem. Like Ryan and I are brand new. I have a business administration background. Yes. Everything else but food.
Chips.
Yeah. So, if it wasn't for that, and then I would be have more important to like big players in the industry. So far, the fight.
So it sounds like you didn't have any pivots. Did you have any pivots at all about changing direction, either in terms of markets or product or whatever? Was there anything you pivoted on?
No, we stayed in the same market we thought we were going to be in. Our consumer, we were correct about our consumer. There's just been a good notice information, and we thought it was between the age of 18 to 45. With our data analytics coming in from our ad placements, it's actually much older. So we've had good pivots, nothing bad. I mean, like we have our 8-ounce shaker, that's what we first came to market with. If people were buying 4 or 5 shakers at a time online, And we thought that isn't financially sustainable for people, and also it's not environmentally sound. Having the 1 pound refill bag would answer a lot of developments, because I knew some people that were buying it, and they were rationing it. The customer to ration, we want to give them as much as we can. So a great pivot for us was making that decision, and that happened at an important time because food service started knocking at our door. Initially, we were doing retail, and when food service started knocking at the door, we actually were like, oh, all the bags. Maybe not as large as they want, but it's a good start.
So, just going forward, our initial strategy was CPG, on the shelf, retail, so forth. When we really started having those conversations, looking at kind of that picture overall, and all the haircuts we need to take to get something on the shelf, slotting fees and promotions and, buy one, get half off. I mean, we started having conversations with, industry leaders in that category, and it got pretty exhausting. So, we were fortunate enough to meet some other people that are heavy in the food service side. And they said, just let retail kind of grow on its own naturally. If they come, feel the conversation, have the conversation, but really focus on food service. It's a little bit easier. It's a longer sales channel, but at the end of the day, you kind of control your margin, control your output, and it's just put pounds on pallets. So going forward, going forward for the next probably year and a half, 2 years, it's going to be a lot of food service, probably 75%.
So one of the things I was impressed with is they actually looked at and are serving in some minor way or major way, lots of different markets. So did you just throw something against the wall and say, let's see which sticks? And in my mind, they almost all stuck. Or did you strategically think about it and say, no, we have to go here first, we have to go there? And maybe talk about the different markets. I mean, I'll just throw it out. I Best Foods, RIT, food service, Abundance Co-op, or there's just all sorts of markets, and to your point, through food service or direct through the internet. How did you figure out, which ones would work, and how did you end up saying, food service is the best?
You never want to say it was a spray and pray, but maybe it was a little bit. Initially it was, let's find some local retailers, let's get on some shelves so we have a story to tell. Let's get it out to consumers, let's sample, let's kind of run around town and sample our popcorn. So, serve some cheap popcorns, see how people like it. So, the Lorries, the Redbird markets of the world, kind of your specialty, small mom and pop marketplaces. They brought in products, we got it from the consumer, it was validated when we started ordering cases. We did launch D2C. We're an expensive product, so what the heck, let's put it out there,
Expensive, but part of the theory.
Yeah.
On the shelf.
Optically, it's expensive when you put it against traditional Parmesan. You would normally see, like on the shelf of $5. So, we actually started the D2C channel, and that just started going nuts. Like, people were purchasing this, at volume, and repeat purchasing. So, that channel of revenue for us is going to be a main focus, as we kind of build the food service foundation. But it's this past 7 months, it's really just been, let's put it out there in front of people and see what kind of conversations we have. We were fortunate enough, we did a few food shows, so we did commit ourselves to some food shows. Again, just to kind of get out of Rochester, put it in front of some industry thought leaders and so forth. And we did the plant-based show, Plant-Based World Expo in Javits Center, September. And that was a big point of validation for us, in that we knew we had something at that show, because we quickly emerged as a category leader, in the grated Parmesan space through everybody. So, we did the pizza show. That was fun. Atlantic City Pizza Show.
Yeah.
Got it in front of, hey, if we can turn traditional Jersey Italians into non-traditional Parmesan lovers, we can do
Yeah,
anything.
I was
So,
actually nervous
We
showing.
really,
up
yeah,
with
I was
theory
like,
for
yeah.
Parmesan.
So we did,
But
we
everybody,
did.
yeah, everybody wants to make money and they have, their consumers are coming up to them saying, do you plant-based? So they say, oh, perfect, now it's here. So,
Through those conversations, we've been really able to narrow in our scope on where our focus needs to be going forward.
Yeah, I know you talked about a lot of things, you explored a lot of things. I remember you even talking about, it could be a condiment on restaurant tables.
Yeah, that's actually a program in the queue right now. We're working on
Yeah,
that.
so I mean,
Mhm.
it's just pretty amazing, all the channels through
Mhm.
which you're going in, at different points in creation of food, right? Yeah, so anyway, so what marketing strategies and tactics didn't pan out, and which ones do you think were the most effective in getting people to buy your stuff?
okay, so initially, marketing, like, we didn't start out with a marketing plan. Our launch was actually a little shaky because we didn't know the exact day, because it's an innovative product. It was the first time, with our manufacturer that it's been made. We believe it's a new way of making, plant-based Parmesan. So, once, I give them my recipe, scaling it, you have to change all the ingredients. You guys definitely know, you have to change the ratios of everything. So we had to keep pausing our launch. So we were just so sick of saying 2 more weeks, like I'm sure, like you were sick of hearing that. Just 2 more weeks, guys, and then we got it. So I said to Ryan, let's just launch. We didn't have any marketing plan figured out at that point. We just kind of had like a Panacheeza little community that had been watching us for a little while on Facebook, and friends and family between us and everyone, people at RIT. So we actually had a pretty good launch, given it was, I don't know what kind of marketing that's called, bootstrap marketing, just kind of local, people and then we ended up hiring a PR firm, which was, we jumped the gun a little bit on that. We just weren't ready for a public relations relationship. I mean, when we're a large company, I'm sure PR will be very useful, but it ended up not being right for Panacheeza at that time. So we definitely learned a lot. And the best decision we ever made for marketing was getting a digital ad placement agency, which started in the beginning of September. So within the first 30 days, our sales went up 436% in the first 30 days of their campaign. And that's just September. Right now, it's out of control. We're seeing a 2.5 return on every dollar we're spending. So the digital ad placements are like was the answer for us.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the e-com side, sure.
Yeah, for
And,
e-com.
and I know on the food side, in marketing, sampling is always important, and I
Yeah.
know you were going around, you bought, and in fact, if you ever want to know how to create a booth inexpensively, you were telling me how little it really costs you to put together a little booth where you have the popcorn with the, but you've been in a lot of places with that. So how did sampling fit into your, usually it's something that's important for food, especially if it tastes good, right?
Yeah.
Especially if people like it.
Yeah, I mean, with a food product, you gotta put it in your mouth, right? So we gotta get it in front of people and have them actually try it. We're fortunate enough to have a product, and I can say that confidently now, that if you taste it, it kind of sells yourself. So sampling it was very important, and it will still be important going forward. So yeah, we did some samplings around town, obviously the expos, that was kind of your ground and pound marketing validation campaign.
Yeah.
Put some popcorn in your mouth. And yeah, I mean, that actually started a lot of conversations, that have since grown, into other conversations. So yeah, we'll be doing more of that, but it's, we're a 2-man,
Right now,
woman
it's
team.
just 2-man teams, so.
One of the other things that I find, these guys are really entrepreneurial and they're really go-getters and good networker. You're a serial entrepreneur. One of the things that I thought was interesting about the product itself, that lends this to other uses than maybe regular Parmesan, is this melts, right?
Mhm.
So you can put it on different products than maybe a regular Parmesan cheese. And so there's, you sampled it on popcorn, but you've talked about pizza, there's all sorts of things. So what has that allowed you to do in terms of uses? And, can you sell more volume by getting people to put it on stuff where they have to dump more on, right?
Definitely. So education, so when people hear of plant-based Parmesan, they think, okay, just maybe for my pasta. But any way you would want cheese flavor on anything, Panacheeza is a great substitute for it. So it's about educating the consumer. So when I talk to them, I say, it's not just pasta, put it on our popcorn, we put it on our vegetables, on salads, any way that, dairy Parmesan behaves, or anything you use it on, you can replace it with this, and it actually will behave the same. So when you add it to a liquid, it creams as well. So it's really just about education for the consumer, and I must do more of that. I need to make more recipes, put them on our website, there's a laundry list of things I need to do. But being able to show the customer and put the light bulb over their head, oh yeah, I can do this and that, and it's great, it's healthy for your family, there's no preservatives, no additives, and just selling the nutrition label to them, because people that are interested in this are usually on a specialty diet. If we do have flexitarians, of course, people that want more plant-based items on their plate, but we say we're gluten-free, 2 grams of protein every serving, 9 essential vitamins, and then it sells itself before they even taste it.
You know what I haven't asked you, and I'm imagining a lot of people don't know, although I'm sure it's on your package design. What are the ingredients in Panacheeza?
Yes.
What are the healthy ingredients?
The ingredients of Panacheeza are cashews, nutritional yeast, Himalayan sea salt, apple cider vinegar, and garlic powder. And that's it. So once people hear that, it's really hard for them to believe. We're actually in talks with Whole Foods right now. They have an extensive auditing process before they put food on their shelf. When I told the buyer that it's additive and preservative free, he was like, do you know that we audit the manufacturers? Great. Okay, it's hard for them to believe, because in shredded cheeses and grated stuff, they have cellulose, which is a preservative. Keeps it in the shape it's supposed to be, so it doesn't turn into a mushy ball. So we don't use that. So there's no plant-based Parmesan on the market right now that doesn't have cellulose, so we don't have that.
So I mentioned Best Foods. I don't know where you are with them, and I don't know if everybody knows who Best Foods are. But
Best Buy groceries.
Best Buy, yeah. So could you tell us a little bit about that and what that means for you?
Yeah, so that's a distribution channel. They met us at Plant Based World. They're out kicking rocks, they're out pounding pavement right now. But they're an international distributor, mostly in the Middle East, Dubai and Saudi, Qatar. Their whole thing is, especially the Middle East right now, it's like they want the latest and greatest American cheese, all
American made.
all of it. And for us, again, that show was really kind of emerged as kind of a leader. The shelf stability side for him really sold us into their channel. So, being non-refrigerated, it was just, he just stood there for 20 minutes waiting to talk to us. So he's like, let's just go.
Yeah. So,
we've been, adopted into their portfolio. There will be some growth there this year with them, which is exciting. But that's the next step. So you'll have a question about the next step, and it's distribution, building a good distribution channel. Which we're working on right now.
So, what's the third largest online retailer after Alibaba and Amazon? And what part of the world do they operate out of? And whose non-Parmesan cheese alternative do they sell?
Thrive market, but that's Amazon.
Didn't you tell me that in Southeast Asia you were on some? They purchased early on a bunch of your stuff.
Oh,
That turned out.
that was a scam.
That was a scam?
Yeah, we didn't cover that, did we?
Oh, no, we never told me it was a
Cover that.
scam. Oh.
Hey, if it doesn't feel right, right from the start, probably isn't right.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, see, there are some
Yeah.
bumps in the road.
He didn't get 1 ounce of product though, so we're good. We got that figured out.
No,
Just wasting time. Yeah.
That's interesting. So, you talked about the way you got into this business, and you were a student at RIT, and what are some of the ways that RIT has helped you along your path to launching this thing?
So, like I said in the beginning, when I was able to put the product into my coursework, RIT recognized it, and then they, kept tapping me on the shoulder, like, you should do this, try this. They provided me with the ecosystem to launch this way ahead of schedule. And, helped us, the funding was obviously like integral to, bringing it to market, and then the access to the mentors and the network with the in VCI, RIT and everything like that. So if I hadn't gotten, the gap year scholarship to take the year off, and I wouldn't have gotten into VCI, we wouldn't have launched the business. It wouldn't be a product right now. So basically, I mean, obviously I made it, we worked quite hard on it, but RIT's intervention brought it to market immediately. And I did my last exam in December, and I'm done school. And I'm coming straight to my office after, right when I wrote my last exam and started working in my business. So I wouldn't have had that without the help of RIT and VCI. Yeah.
So how about your financial modeling? That was an RIT connection, and that was rigorous. I
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Talk a little bit about how that happened and what went on and how you're using it.
So when we were accepted into VCI, we were also the first recipients of the Ignite program. And so that was to, put the gas pedal on, new and emerging companies. So we got access to, so one of the donors gave his time with his company to us to start, and I can see what it's right there. So it's Fiscal Partners was the business. He gave us
Yeah,
access.
we can promote them.
Right.
They did good work for you.
Mike Brown, yeah.
Mike
Yes,
Brown,
yeah.
Fiscal Partners, we had full access to him and his partner to figure out what our business model is, to help us create it, and to essentially make a financial projection that, I mean, I'm not sure how long that takes with a regular accounting firm. I mean, we got to talk to them every week. And so with that financial projection, we were able to go to an investor and show them an extensive financial projection, 5 years plus.
How many screens were, I mean,
The
I've
tab-
never
It's
seen
his thing. He
something
can answer this.
that complicated
Lot.
for financial
We
projection.
talked about the boxes that got added, that kept you up at night. He added like 50 that we had
Yeah.
to check, but it was good. It was a good exercise. His whole process was, okay, where do you want to be in 5-7 years? Here's the model to get there, but what we need to do is figure out how much money you actually need to get to that point. So we're not guessing. So when we go to an investor, we know exactly we know exactly the amount of money we need to the dollar, and when we're gonna obviously shift into profit. So that was our project. And then obviously, a bunch of layers went into that.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very high level platform right now that we have. It's an asset beyond belief. We're gonna be able to build our entire business off that model, and understand the thresholds where we need to be in sales and so forth. So, I mean, we have everything from, obviously cost of goods sold to compensation. That's all modeled in. We can build out our team, all their commissions, bonuses. I mean, you name it. Every channel of revenue that we want to build out, we can model in pretty easily now. Yeah.
And just to let you know, Mike Brown is part of Venture Creation's executive mentoring panel. And we will bring in certain companies at certain times when we think there's an issue that they could be helped with by certain members of that panel. And all the members of the panel, I think we have 12 members now, are pretty much mostly, if they're not successful serial entrepreneurs, they are people that have been part of the entrepreneurial ecosystem in one way or another. And it's a win-win for everybody because these guys have money, and they sometimes invest in businesses. It was Mike Brown's money that helped you. And also it brings them closer to RIT. The advancement or development office loves it because now they're doing things with RIT. They're helping new startups that have links to RIT. So it's kind of a virtuous circle in a way. So I see this in front of me. You started with this, line extensions, new products. Where do you think you're going to go with this?
So initially we started with the original Parmesan. And before I even moved, I started, making some new flavors, sour cream and onion, barbecue, ranch, can't remember, buffalo. I was experimenting with all kinds of fun stuff, like
That's very
maple,
long.
maple pecan.
You liked it, but.
I ate all the sandwiches.
This is really why he wanted you to business, when I didn't have the cheese in the fridge at home.
Like, honey, try this new.
Go to the kitchen. I'll eat it.
Yes, he tests everything.
Yes,
So we want to come out with an artisanal flavor line like truffle, cracked black pepper and stuff like that. So our first one we're going to come out with is going to be a spicy one. So what we put into this one is cashmere chili and jalapeno. And this we're going to position it as like popcorn, seasoning or like taco seasonings.
Spicy pastas.
Put it on
You know,
potatoes, like,
yeah.
yeah, anything you want to have a cheesy, spicy, flavor with. So this is Ryan's, it's his baby creation come to life.
Yeah, we'll throw it out there. We'll see. Hey, we'll just throw it out there. We'll see what they think. You know?
Exactly.
I mean, we'll let the consumers drive it. We'll put it on e-com, we'll leave it there. We'll do a small batch run, test run. And, if it has a good response, so be it. Or we'll roll with it. If not, we'll just kick it up. Yeah, I'll eat the rest.
So in a fairly short time, they've gotten to where they are. Why don't you tell people about where you're going next?
Yeah.
And how you're gonna grow? I mean, not only are you moving to a new location that can better serve your growth, but you're pursuing a different manufacturing operation that can scale. So talk about additional money infused into the company. So talk about all that. Talk about what's next.
Oh, you want me to do that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, to expand on line extension, with the food service kind of conversations, starting to take shape. We're looking at doing like a single serve sachet. So there's nobody in the category out there that has a single serve on the table where you can tear it open and put a little extra Parmesan on your Caesar salad and pasta or anything. So we're really excited about that. So that'll be out probably the next quarter or so. That program's just getting going, but until leading up to that, we really had to flush out a manufacturer that could help us scale up. Because you don't want to sit down with a distributor like Dot Foods and say, okay, what is your manufacturing capacity? Can you give us 10,000 pounds, in 2 months? You want to be able to serve that individual, and say, yes, we can. So we've taken the necessary steps to move from our current manufacturer over to this gentleman. They're still here in New York. They're in Savannah, New York, Pure Functional Foods. His name is Dale Weed. He's a miller. He's built his whole life. He grew up in mills. So he actually has some really, really interesting IP, that he's protected on the back end on how to mill cashews and how to do certain things with certain seeds and nuts. He actually is helping us formulate an allergen-free line right now, which will come out probably in the next quarter. Which will allow us to have bigger conversations kind of in the school, in the school and university side of things, children's snack foods and stuff when we get down that road. So that's like a watermelon seed kind of thing with a couple other things in here. I know you're gonna hit me, I know.
It's a secret.
I didn't say yes. But going forward, I mean, he has the ability of doing millions of pounds a year for us. So I think he could probably do 2 tons a day. I think was his capacity once the line's set up and everything. So and he's super pumped about this, which is great. So we got a guy who's bought in and he's pumped.
With that new manufacturer, we're gonna move into different categories of cheese too.
Yeah.
We're gonna look at mozzarellas, cheddars, herbed cheeses and stuff like that. So, our first manufacturing partner was perfect for the size we were, they will accept a small, order at first, but now we've grown so quickly that we need to go to a larger manufacturer and they have, all of the tools that we're gonna need. So I just wanted to add that in.
Yeah. So I mean, going forward, it's flavoring, artisanal flavors, getting that portfolio put together, doing as many different things with what we have right now, to really kind of, expand our our usability, you know, out there in the consumer space. And then 3 to 5 years from now, go to snack food. And just turn what we have here into powders and seasonings and flavorings for a popcorn line.
Yeah.
A puff line, you know, a pita chip line, or, you know, with that said, become an ingredient for other snack brands, you know, that are looking to come into this category. So, you know, the exciting thing about Panacheeza is it's not a one-trick pony. It's very multidimensional. You know, we can be our own standalone product, our own brand, sell our own product, but we also can work into other people's products as well. And add a lot of value for what they're trying to do in this category, this plant-based category. So, you know, Alfredo's, rosé sauces, she makes a killer Alfredo and blow your mind. You know, like all those categories, you know, are areas that we're gonna explore. You know, we're gonna see if we can exploit those at a high level. But again, backing back into a manufacturer that can handle those things. We're pretty excited that we have a gentleman that can do that.
Manufacturer is dreaming with us, which is really nice. To be
Yeah.
part of that.
And you can tell they have no vision of where they're going in the future. Do you want to talk at all about, post January 31st, and what you're doing then?
So we are officially moving out, but we actually have decided to change our office space that we were going to go into. It's just not going to be as functional for us as we thought. So Ryan and I are looking right now at office spaces that are ground level. We need a ground level office. We just need, you know, a large cage for inventory. We need a lot of space for fulfillment. So right now it's in the air, but Ryan and I are going to stay local in Rochester to find an office space. So that's really exciting. So, you know,
And that's good for Rochester and
Yep.
wherever you end
No,
up.
we'll keep it here.
yeah.
We got 3 kids, they're staying.
And
We're staying
we
here.
like having a local story, like, you know, a local manufacturer, a local brand, like that's actually what got us into our retail shelves. So
And this is a good market for food, as you point out.
That's incredible.
There's a lot of food because of the agricultural region and the history.
Mhm.
What do you think it takes to succeed as an entrepreneur? Like, what are the qualities? This was not these questions, but I told Janessa just before we started. I mean, I think it's always an interesting question. Around the table are people that run businesses, that are starting businesses. You know, what does it really take?
So I'll start. So he's the serial entrepreneur. I'm new to it. I had a corporate life before. I was kind of ladders out of school, and now I'm sort of learning the grit it takes to be an entrepreneur. And I think what it takes to be a successful one is being so from observing Ryan is having being able to pivot and adapt and know that there is a solution to every single problem. So that's from my observations. He can tell you more because he is the serial entrepreneur. I just graduated.
What an excuse.
Not to be all color for the women in here, but it takes some cojones, you know, it really does. I mean, it does. I mean.
What do
know,
you mean that women don't have gone?
No, I'm just. I'm saying-
I got my own set.
Right.
So it's a global term for everybody. You know, it takes, you have to accept risk. You have to know you're putting yourself out there. There's risk here. You're potentially gonna fail. You know, my grandfather failed 7 times before he finally hit it. He was in dairy industry. He sold sailboats. And he did everything. You know, and finally he hit it when he was 50. He became a developer. So, my uncle failed 4 times. My other uncle failed 3 times. You know, now they're all successful guys. So
You come from an entrepreneurial family.
my mom's an entrepreneur, my uncle's not, they're all, it's in our.
It's in their blood.
You gotta understand, it takes risks. I'm gonna fail, you know, before you succeed. But you learn along the way. Every failure is an opportunity to learn something new, you know, in your next project. For me, and I learned this young, asking for help and building a network, putting yourself out there is probably the most important thing you'll ever do. Don't be
I
afraid
see
to
that
ask.
in your success, because you're constantly meeting with new people,
Yeah.
you're networking, you're not afraid to ask for resources, for information.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Put yourself out there. You know, build a network of people that, you know, that are really interesting. You know, or want to provide a solution for a challenge that you may have. you might be surprised, they will give you their time. A good example, this actually just materialized 2 days ago. I just reached out blindly to a gentleman I knew here in town, Rob Drago. He's a food CEO in town. He's flipped a few companies. He's ran a few family businesses, the bakery side. This was a year and a half ago. Yeah, whatever. So I LinkedIn connected with him, told him our story. And he said, "Sure, I'll meet you for coffee." So we met for an hour at Starbucks, and he provided us with a whole bunch of boxes to check. And it was interesting, from that conversation, I actually reached back out to him a month ago. Because we're looking to obviously expand the team, bring in some Tommy mentors, consultants, or even a founding member, the business strategy, the kind of CEO, COO side of things. I had him in mind, so I reached back out, sat down for coffee. He had been following us along. So he was happy to give us another hour and a half of his time. And from that conversation, he introduced us to a gentleman. We had a great conversation yesterday, George Matone, actually launched Oddly Good globally. And Oddly Good was a plant-based cheese line. That kind of went, they launched during COVID, so it was like, they launched right before COVID, so it was kind of like, hey, but they were a food service plant-based cheese brand, global. So they were out of, I think they started in Sweden, Finnish company. So he's semi-retired. He's a business consultant, strategist, and we spent an hour yesterday just exploring everything. And he's going to be our lead consultant, our mentor. So if it wasn't for me just saying, hey, so I need, let's grab a cup of coffee. We would have never met this gentleman. He is pumped around this. So he's actually writing our strategic execution plan right now. Next 3 years.
Cool. So one of the things that occurs to me, I started out in a big company, actually 2 big companies, Accenture and Hallmark. And then I went to a startup, and then a small business, and then I had my own business. Not a serial entrepreneur just like you, but one of the things I've noticed is a huge difference between a corporate person, and you were a corporate person, and an entrepreneur. A corporate person says, "What's my role? What's my responsibility? What are my objectives? What's the box you want me to be in?" And so I can do my job. An entrepreneur is like, "I'm going to create something new. I'm just gonna, it's like, I'm gonna pull this in, I'm gonna pull that in, I think I'll put it here, I think I'll do that," and you just make it all up, and you're not afraid to make it all. Whereas in a company, a lot of companies smash you down and you try to make stuff up. They're like, "Oh, let's change the accounting system." No. "Let's do this." No. "Let's do that." No.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share?
Have an amazing partner.
Yes.
Know the people you work with.
Yeah.
Understand that you can get along with them, work well with them.
Extremely trustworthy relationships.
I'm fortunate enough that my wife and I could work well together. We're still married. So- But yeah, I mean, it's just, build a team around you that adds value to you, and your goals. You guys share the same dream and vision.
Yeah. Figure out what you're not good at. Have other people do that. I'm good at administration. Something really balance.
So thank you. I know you're really busy, as we all are, but you're really busy, I know. And so thank you for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. I think everyone around the table appreciates it. It's recorded on Zoom, so people will be able to see it. I know you want people to sample your product, and they should, because it's wonderful. Our next step is to go to our little break area or kitchen area. We've got pizza, we've got beer, we've got wine, we've got soft drinks, and we've got Panacheeza that you can put on the pizza, or just sample, or do whatever you want to do. Is there any questions, though, before we go do that? Yeah.
I know, right between. So, what's your exit strategy?
So we want to make a substantial exit. It breaks the 4-year-old's heart. Because he really wants to be the president of Panacheeza.
Well,
But you never know.
But
You
I
never know,
said,
like-
I said, hey,
never know.
mommy, we can sell the business to get you businesses and then you can take your pick. I don't know. Yeah, so that's our,
Excellent.
any other questions? You got them here. Well, thank you.
All right.
Sure.
Let's hang out.
Yeah.